Hey, I'm Craig, and today for the Surfboard Guide, we're going to check out the Dolly Dagger Asym by Panda Surfboards. The Dolly Dagger Asym I've been riding is a 5.7, and it comes in a 5.7 by 19.5 by 2 9/16, exactly 30.75 litres. So looking over the Dolly Dagger Asym, it's a pretty interesting looking board because it's asymmetrical shape. You might have seen we've checked out a few of these, and we're going to check out a few more. I'm a massive fan of them. They make surfing really easy and really fun, and I think more people should be riding them. As you can see, it's an asymmetrical shape, and it's asymmetrical in every part of the word. So the nose and the tail are all kind of out, and when you flip it over, the fin cluster is asymmetrical as well. So for a 5.7, it has a fairly performance rocker. There's quite a lot of nose lift through the board, and there's actually quite a lot of flip through the tail. Through the deck rocker, it's quite flat, but it actually gets quite aggressive out the back off this, and off the toe side, which is slightly longer through the asymmetry, there's a little bit more rocker and it kind of flips out a little bit more, which is actually quite cool when you're surfing it. Flipping over the Dolly Dagger, it feels like a single concave through the front, and then it comes into a double. You can feel it lightly through here, through the fins, and then it feels like a massive V. As I said, that tail rocker, I think it's just a V that drops away off the tail, but because of the asymmetry with your toe side swallow being longer, it just kind of drops away more, and you can actually feel that when you're surfing. It gives you this extra kind of leverage point, which is really, really cool. So I've been surfing the Dolly Dagger for a while now. I got this off Blake actually late last year, so I've probably had it for the best part of 6 months, which has allowed me to surf it in a whole variety of conditions. I wasn't sure exactly where it's at because I've had a couple of Asyms that have been kind of pretty fishy things for kind of smaller and average waves, and then ones have been more performance. And this actually has sat smack bang in the middle. The Dolly Dagger has worked really well in very average conditions, but it's also been amazing in pumping surf. So around Christmas where I live, when we get kind of north swells, we get this right wedge, and it can be really fun. It will turn on for a day or two, and then it will go away and we won't see it again for a long time. But anyway, when it was pumping around Christmas, I was pretty into surfing this. So what I really liked about the Dolly Dagger, it's a 5.7, so it's not too long, but it's 30.75 litres. So it doesn't feel overly big, but paddling the board and surfing, it feels like it has quite a lot of foam, not like in a bulky sense of the word, but just that it keeps a lot of speed and pace and just makes surfing really easy. So like I said, at Christmas, when it was kind of pumping, we get these sucky kind of right wedges, and the Dolly Dagger would just paddle into these things really easily, and they would barrel and they're a lot of fun. But because the board wasn't overly long, it could get into those really steep and sucky takeoffs really, really easy. And it made me kind of keen to check it out on some slabs and different waves they have around here, but they rarely ever break. Like I said, you'd get like a little barrel, but then you'd get open to like an open face, but it'd still be quite a steep kind of pocket. And the Dolly Dagger would just turn so nicely in those steep sections. Sometimes where longer and symmetrical surfboards might get a bit caught up or make it, quite challenging for an average surfer to do kind of steeper and vertical surfing in kind of really steep and sucky pockets. The Dolly Dagger would just fit in really, really nicely. And I think those benefits, which we'll talk a little bit more about later, of the asymmetry design probably help that, going from the twin on the toe to the quad on the heel. So this thing was just an absolute blast to surf. We've checked out a few asyms now, and I feel like I've always kind of gone right on them. And there's always this question about, can you go left on them? The asyms are designed for a natural footer or a goofy footer. So yes, you can definitely go left and right on them. But if you're a goofy footer, I probably wouldn't ride my natural footer board. I don't know how it would go. But to test that, I recently went to Indonesia and I took the Dolly Dagger with me to see how to go on my backhand. Even though I had got a few lefts, but I was at a wave which was just a left and I was only going to be on a left. And the thing was absolutely mental. Similar to, I've talked a bit about before, one of the greatest feelings of these asyms with the twin on the toe and the quad on the heel is coming off your toe on a bottom turn and going up and doing an arc, like a wrap on your heel and getting on those quads. That feels amazing. Well, on your backhand, it's a different feeling. It's more of a snappy and a shorter turn, but it feels different. It feels so different to like your normal kind of thrusters and quads and normal kind of performance shortboards we normally ride. And it just makes surfing really exciting, kind of getting that different feeling. You know, sometimes I get a bit stagnant, you know, almost 30 years of riding white shortboard thrusters. It's so cool to get on something different and just kind of live up your surfing a little bit. You know, you get back on your shortboards and they feel awesome, but just to give yourself a little bit of a break and feel something different, this has been spot on. Feeling the sun. With fins in the Dolly Dagger Asym, I've been mucking around with a few different things Futures do, and I found kind of what has been the perfect set for the board. So on the toe, I have the T1, which is an upright twin by Futures fins, and on the heels, I have the EA quad set, which has felt absolutely mental. The T1 has been a perfect twin for me. It's got the nice kind of blend of flex and size and surface area, which has felt really good for me. And the EA quads, I thought they'd be a little bit too small, but they're a solid fiberglass construction, and that felt really solid under my heel. In a few of the other asyms, I rode a True Aims asym set, and while the twin felt good, sometimes the quad that was in that set felt a bit small for me. It felt a bit skatey and would kind of jump out of the water at times, but this has been absolutely perfect. So it's been really cool to find, you know, fins that are out there, not having to go and find a specific asym set, to find a set of asym fins that work really well for me and the board. The volume in the Dolly Dagger Asym is 30.75 litres, which sits around a litre above my shortboards, but it's been absolutely fine. Putting the board under my arm, it doesn't feel overly big, but getting it in the water, that little bit of extra foam, doesn't feel bulky through surfing or through turns, but it feels absolutely mental when trying to connect sections, hold speed and pace, and sometimes surfing less than stellar conditions. And like I said, we had some sucky little barrel days, and that extra bit of foam getting into them nice and early was absolutely perfect. Dolly Dagger Asym is for almost anyone. If you're a beginner, kind of intermediate, and you want to advance your surfing, I think the Asym design with that twin under the toe and the quad under the heel makes things like going into wraps and transitioning from rail to rail just so easy and effortless that I think it really could assist people that are kind of advance their surfing from that beginner through to that advanced range. If you're an intermediate through to an advanced surfer, the thing's spot on. If you want something to liven up, you know, you've been riding a lot of shortboards, performance thrusters and whatnot, get on this. You'll feel the difference. I think you'll enjoy your surfing. It'll ignite maybe a spark in surfing that might be lost from a lot of those white 6-1s you've probably been riding. And just to feel something different, it's really exciting. Like I said, almost 30 years of riding pointy white shortboards with 3 fins. It's cool to get on something different, but also to get back to those boards. I love those boards, but this really kind of lights up and ignites my surfing and gets a little passion. Overall, I've loved the Dolly Dagger Asym. It's been a lot of fun. I must say, I'm a big Asym fan, but this has not disappointed. It's one that's worked in really average conditions and worked well in really pumping conditions. So it's almost an all-round Asym shortboard. Anyway, I've loved it and hope you get a chance to check one out. Thanks so much for watching.